The second episode of Season 2, titled Instinct, is one that a lot of feminists really dislike, and I think that they tend to misunderstand some key aspects of it. It's a filler episode following a bunch that really drive the overall arc, which already puts people in an annoyed mindset, and then the subject matter is touchy. It's different from the other episodes in that the first part takes place mostly from the perspective of Echo's imprint of the week, legitimizing her feelings more than is usually done. There are also multiple parallels to the episode Omega with regard to Alpha, implying Echo's evolution is going a similar direction, and raising the question of whether Echo herself might become as dangerous as him. The episode starts out with Ballard inspecting the chair. He's curious about the imprinting process and sits down like he's inactive. Topher pops up and teases him about that. The power dynamic is used here to imply Ballard's actions are seen as laughable, because actives are seen as less than human. Topher brags about his latest accomplishment, using the chair to make glandular changes.
I don't want to use the word genius, but I'd be okay if you wanted to.
We see Echo on engagement get up in the middle of the night and walk purposely to a baby's room and nurse the baby, showing Topher's made her lactate. Echo's imprint Emily believes she is the baby's mother and wife to the client Nate. He clearly doesn't want her going into his office, locking her out. He doesn't show much interest in her, and he doesn't seem to want anything to do with his son Jack either.
You got a master's degree in engineering, babe. This should be a piece of cake.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't,
He quickly leaves for work and leaves her to take care of things. She notices a suspicious-looking van outside, which she shouldn't regard as notable. This echoes Alpha's suspicion of his handler's van in Omega. Emily complains about Nate to her friend Kelly, who is clearly Sierra. She worries that he's having an affair because he's being shifty and seems disinterested in being a father.
It's like I hand him the baby and he acts like I've handed him a live grenade.
While men are all wusses.
While wuss is a word with a misogynistic etymology, being a portmanteau of wimp and pussy, it has undergone detachment from its literal meaning in the past few decades, to the point that most people don't recognize its linguistic undertones. I don't like the word's usage, but it's ultimately a minor offense. Anyway, Kelly tells her not to worry about it. Echo agrees, and then she hypocritically breaks into Nate's office to snoop through things, going past her imprint's supposed boundaries. When he gets home, she confronts him with evidence of his original wife, who Echo was made to replace. He describes how he loved this other woman, but she died, making it sound like she was some sort of first wife that he never told her about. He thinks it was a mistake to rent an active to replace her to take care of the baby, so he calls the Dollhouse to call it off, mentioning giving up the baby. Emily overhears him, and it really sounds like him ordering her assassination. Meanwhile, Senator Perrin, who previously announced that he plans to take down the Rossum Corporation, complains to his wife that there's nothing solid to go on. Someone then anonymously delivers evidence on the existence of the Dollhouse.
What is it?
Wiretap transcripts. This is more than just medical malfeasance or ethics violations. This is prostitution, human trafficking, maybe murder.
I told you Rossum was evil.
Now that Ballard has joined Boyd in helping the actives from inside the Dollhouse, Perrin acts as the outside force for justice seeking to take it down lawfully. And he's a protagonist we're all behind as opposed to some antagonist in the narrative.
This has to stop.
Adele pays ex-active Madeline a visit. She asks questions in a way that might be harmless socialization and might be digging for information. Madeline expresses concern about being dragged back to the Dollhouse if she says the wrong thing. Adele stays nice, but insists that Madeline return for some follow-up examination. Echo tries to take the baby and run. Nate tries to delay her. She says she needs to feed the baby and then hides upstairs. She calls Kelly and asks her to come and get her. When she comes, her handler takes her away for a treatment. Emily realizes that there's a conspiracy going on. Ballard tries to collect her, but Emily goes out the window and drives away in Kelly's car. Emily gets to the police, and the Dollhouse backs off for the moment. Down at the station, Emily describes the situation to one of the officers. The officer consoles her, using the standard lines given to victims of domestic abuse. The way the officer's respect is shown here makes it seem like a progressive little message about domestic abuse presented to the audience. Well, Nate and Ballard show up and tell the cops that Emily's a delusional woman. They can easily prove that she's not really his wife. Nate takes the baby and Emily is strong-armed back to the dollhouse. The usual commands don't work to control her. Echo's love for Jack has become part of her identity past dollhouse imprints, and she unconsciously rejects the imprinted trigger phrases, having evolved to a point where she can do that. Madeline watches with horror as she is restrained and given a tranquilizer. Madeline then talks to Ballard a bit about how her contract with the dollhouse improved her life and helped her get over her grief, which was something that Claire did to get November to stop glitching in needs. Ballard remembers her imprinted as his girlfriend, but evades questions about how he knew her. I don't think we're supposed to take her endorsement to heart. Later, Emily wakes up and begs Topher for help. He says he'll help, and then he wipes her.
Hello, Echo. How are you feeling?
Did I fall asleep?
For a little while.
She doesn't have all her procedural memories, but she clings to her Emily imprint and goes to get her baby back and take revenge on Nate. The episode then turns into a cheesy horror structure where Echo is the antagonist. Adelle demands answers, questioning if there was a composite event like with Alpha, which there was in Omega, but no one knows about this besides Echo and Alpha. Ballard could easily have figured this out, though. In response to Adelle, Ballard blames Topher's genius glandular changes. Topher agrees and talks about maternal instinct overpowering Echo's normal brain function, keeping him from being able to wipe her. Feminists hate this. It sounds a lot like the claims of female hysteria that were used to oppress women. The premise here is that maternal instinct makes a woman crazy and attack an innocent man, and I agree it sounds sexist. I don't think we, the audience, are meant to take that as the exposition, though. I think that's a cover story to protect Echo. Ballard knows she's evolving, and he knows Adelle knows and will send her to the attic if she perceives a threat, so he blames it on Topher slipping up. Instinct was originally going to be the third episode. It was swapped with Belle Shows at the last minute, and seems rather out of place as the second episode. Belle Shows has a humorous moment where Ballard fetches Echo in the shower. She acts like there's nothing unusual at all about being naked in front of him. She's self-aware, playing like she's in the tabula rasa state. He knows it. She knows he knows. It's just cute. I think if viewers were primed with this scene prior to watching Instinct, the concept of Ballard knowing and lying about Echo's greater evolution would be closer at hand. Anyway, Echo goes after Nate. She stalks him with a knife, and I think the implication is that she's going the way of Alpha. Alpha evolved rapidly and then went on a killing spree following his composite event. Dominic and others have shown worry that Echo's evolution will take her to the same place. The question is, will she become a killer like him? Nate doesn't understand exactly what's going on, but he talks to her and claims his son as his own responsibility. He won't let Echo take him from him. This is interesting because it's kind of a gender role flip, where Echo's a deadly woman and Nate's a compassionate man devoted to raising his baby boy.
You can do whatever you want to do to me. Just please, don't hurt the baby.
He talks her into realizing Emily isn't who she really is, and that she has no claim to Jack. Because she isn't Alpha, she leaves peacefully. Echo can be rebellious without being hostile like him. She wanders off, and Ballard catches up with her. She discusses how she can go in and out of various imprints, and says it's becoming difficult for her because she can still feel all of their emotions. Ballard offers to tell Topher what's going on so he can wipe her, but she likes being self-aware even if it hurts. Ballard promises to take down the dollhouse and rescue the actives. He's playing the strong male hero here, telling Echo to wait to be rescued, but it's implied that this is due to his own personality and isn't something embraced by the show. She's becoming powerful in her own right.
I'm awake now.
So that's Instinct. I consider it an underrated episode, but it's pulled off in a very different way from most episodes, and many consider it weak. Every viewer knows Emily's an active in an imprint, so many consider her drama annoying. If the viewer doesn't care about her and her issues, her attempts to run away from Nate and Ballard have shades of that hysterical woman treatment because the viewer cares about Ballard more than her. Internalized misogyny is also likely to blame for the readiness to dismiss the distress of a woman as just annoying behavior that gets in the way of the plot. Her distress is the plot. Yeah, Emily's an imprint, but that doesn't mean she's not real in her her own way. Adele often says that the Dollhouse deals in truths, not lies. In Ghost, we see that Topher imprints whole lives' worth of memories. In Omega, Alpha's condition is described as many people living in his head, whole personalities. Imprints are entire people. This usually isn't a problem for people to accept. An imprint story can usually be accepted as serious without much effort. Maybe the fact that it's about women's issues makes people less likely to care. It's a woman trying to protect herself and her baby from a perceived assassination threat. Just because there's not a Terminator after her shouldn't make this less interesting. She's actually not that far off in her suspicions. There is a conspiracy out to get her. If things worked the way the Dollhouse would like, Emily would be wiped for good, and it would essentially be killing her. I know people want to get back to the plot arc, but I think internalized misogyny plays a part in how this episode is looked down upon. Anyway, we're honestly supposed to care about Emily, so her struggle is more of the typical Echo fights male oppressor story, with the addition of the Dollhouse as part of that perceived oppression, indicating her becoming more evolved.